Is that team member an employee or a contractor? In this video, I'll show you how you can tell the difference between the two. Now this is important because getting it wrong can sometimes be a very expensive mistake. The Employment Court has recently issued warnings to employers who have tried to label their employees contractors in a deliberate effort to avoid employment obligations to employees. Deliberate is one thing, but others have made this mistake quite unintentionally. Now, if you do make this error, your business could be liable for unpaid PAYE and holiday pay, as well as potentially being penalised by Inland Revenue and possibly fined. So what is the difference? Employees are better protected than contractors, but they also have fewer options. Yes, they're eligible for KiwiSaver, PAYE tax is paid on their behalf, and they are unable to be fired without following the proper procedures. Now, contractors, on the other hand, have fewer safeguards but more discretion than employees. They're responsible for their own GST, their own taxes, they're not paid for holidays, sick days, parental leave, and depending on the small print, their contracts can often be ended with little or no warning. But employees and contractors, of course, are equally subject to health and safety regulations, so that doesn't change. So the definition of an employee. An employee is a person who is hired or compensated to perform work under a contract of service, commonly called an employment agreement. Almost always, the hire or reward is a wage or salary. Now, all employees have employment rights under employment laws. Now, these rights include, at the very least, the minimum wage, holiday and leave entitlements, and a written employment agreement. And the employer must keep employee records showing these entitlements are available and are being fulfilled. The definition of a contractor. Contractors, or independent contractors, is simply terminology to use to describe self-employed people. Both terms signify and mean the same thing. In principle, that's the hirer hires a contractor to deliver services under a contract for service. Now, that contract for service is commonly called an independent contractor agreement. Contractors work for themselves and make money by billing the hirer for their services. Contractors are then responsible for their own taxes and ACC levies, etc. Most employment-related laws do not apply to contractors. Now, this implies they're not entitled to yearly or annual sick leave, cannot file personal grievances, must pay their own taxes, and the majority of their rights and responsibilities are governed by general civil law, not employment law. Now, businesses don't have to keep any contractor records. Differences between employees and contractors. There are some important distinctions between an employee and a contractor. Now, to make the best decision as to which is which, you must consider the true nature of the working relationship, not just the name that you would give it. Now, the courts have devised some legal tests to guide you in determining the difference. Now, these legal tests are as follows. The intention test. The parties' intentions for the engagement are important, as is the wording in the parties' written agreement, as this generally reveals what their true intentions are. The control versus independence test. The more control another person has over someone's work, hours, procedures, the more likely he or she is an employee. Contractors are more likely to have more freedom in terms of who they work for, where they work, when they work, the tools they use, and so on. The integration test. Now, this test determines if the person's work is critical to the employer's operations and whether they are part and parcel of the organisation. Now, typically, a contractor's work is simply a small part of the overall operation. A person is more likely to be considered an employee of the organisation if the work is of the type that is commonly done by employees. If it's continuous, in other words, not a one-off project, and if a contractor status is for the benefit of the business only rather than for the worker. Fundamental economic reality test. That's a mouthful, but the test entails assessing the overall state of the working relationship. A contractor is a person who runs their own business and also works for more than one business. So you need to think about your situation and apply all those tests to help you decide. Now, no one test will give you the correct answer. As always, it's important that you get the right advice, and I strongly suggest you talk to an employment specialist if you have any concerns around staff as employees or contractors. They can help you make sound decisions in the best interest of you and your business. Now, if you want to know more, have a look at this video here, hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, see you then.